Let's pause. Today, you searched online for an answer you could have figured out yourself. Your brain didn't even have time to stretch. Artificial intelligence had already done the thinking. And this isn't science fiction anymore. It's daily life. But what really happens when we constantly hand over our thinking to machines? Let's examine it through a scientific lens. Back in 2011, neuroscientists at Columbia University ran a revealing experiment. They gave participants difficult questions and allowed half the group to search for answers online. The results were startling. Those who Googled forgot the information within 2 days. Those who thought it through on their own remembered the answers for weeks. This phenomenon is now known as the Google effect. Its essence is simple. The brain is not a bottomless container, but a muscle that atrophies without effort. When we know information is always a click away, our brain simply stops storing it. Why waste energy remembering when the internet, or now artificial intelligence, serves as an ever-present external hard drive? But the issue cuts much deeper. It's not just about memory anymore. Technology is restructuring how we think. Take Generation Z, for instance. A 2023 Cambridge University study found that 68% of people under 25 feel genuine stress when solving even basic math problems without a calculator or phone. The average time spent trying to think independently before grabbing a gadget has dropped to 9 seconds. Back in 2000, it was 3 minutes. Now imagine what this means for more complex mental processes. Let's take creativity. Modern EEG studies show that heavy use of digital assistants lowers activity in the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for creative thinking, by 40%. Psychologists call this the empty chair effect. Here's how it works. When you sit down to write, solve a problem, or build something new, your brain imagines a chair next to you that says, AI will do it. And so instead of straining, your mind waits for something or someone to do the job. And the scariest part? We don't even realize it's happening, like a frog in slowly boiling water. The heat rises gradually, and the creature doesn't know it's time to leap. That's exactly how we lose our thinking ability. Request by request, day by day. Here's a provocative question. When was the last time you truly wrestled with a problem without checking the internet? When did your brain really strain to find an answer? If it's hard to recall, that's the warning sign. But before we panic, let's ask, is it really so one-sided? Maybe AI doesn't just take from us. Maybe it gives something back. Perhaps it's not making us dumber, but simply changing the game. Picture your brain as a city. Once it had wide boulevards of memory, narrow lanes of logic, and open plazas of creativity. Then AI arrived and started building highways. Sure, data travels faster now, but the old neighborhoods fall into disrepair. In 2023, the journal Nature published a study that shook many. Scientists scanned the brains of 2 groups. One used AI assistants regularly, the other solved tasks manually. In just 1 year, the first group showed a measurable decline in gray matter density in the hippocampus, the area tied to memory and analysis. It was like a muscle wasting from lack of use. But that's not even the most fascinating part. Neuroscientists discovered a handover effect. When people know AI can make mistakes, their brains stay alert, double-checking facts. But when they believe the algorithm is infallible, like ChatGPT is in many eyes, critical thinking shuts down. Try this experiment. Give someone a puzzle. One version says, AI solves this with 95% accuracy. The other says, AI often makes mistakes here. In 80% of cases, with the first version, the person won't even try. They'll just trust the machine. And here lies the paradox. AI doesn't make us stupid. It makes us lazy. And laziness, as we know, is the finest coach for decay. German researchers compared this to GPS. Drivers who rely on navigation struggle to remember routes. But it's not a memory issue. It's a motivation issue. They don't try to remember. So should we declare war on technology? Maybe not just yet. There's another version of the story, one where AI becomes a dumbbell for the brain. Imagine having a second brain, not metaphorical, but real, always online, always ready. It can answer questions, solve problems, inspire ideas. Sounds like a dream, right? Today, AI is just that, a smart tool, faster and sharper than us. But what if this second brain doesn't just help us? What if it rewires us? Let's rewind. In 1945, John von Neumann, one of the fathers of modern computing, called humans computational machines. Since then, we've grown used to seeing our brains as processors and AI as their next evolution. But is that all there is? In 2020, Stanford conducted an experiment. People were given tough tasks, with AI help available. Even when AI gave the right answers, over time, participants lost the ability to think independently. That's the real twist. AI doesn't just solve problems, it reshapes thought itself. It's like the calculator. At first, it simply speeds up math, but slowly we forget how to multiply in our heads. And now it's happening with more complex abilities: critical thinking, analysis, even intuition. We dig into ourselves less and less and ask, "Okay, Google." In 2024, Oxford psychologists made a troubling discovery. Even short conversations with AI lowered activity in brain zones tied to planning and reflection. So we're not just outsourcing tasks, we're outsourcing our capacity to think deeply. But there's a flip side. Some scientists argue AI doesn't degrade us, it transforms us. For instance, a 2023 study in Science showed that AI use may boost multitasking and fast data processing. Maybe it doesn't replace thinking, but evolves it. Here's the big question. If we keep trusting AI more and more, what happens to us? Will we become helpless without our digital crutches? Or will our brains be free to focus on creativity, insight, and innovation? Once, doubt meant exploration, not fear. We used to wander, guess, fail. Now, it's milliseconds. Question, answer, problem, solution. No time for the silence in between, the space where thought is born. Have you noticed how arguments have changed? People once debated for hours, making points, recalling facts, building logic. Now it's two people, two phones, two voice commands. AI gives the answer. One nods, one frowns. But the thinking, the human thinking, disappears. Neuroscientists call it premature certainty syndrome. A brain addicted to instant answers stops releasing dopamine from the search. Why guess when you can ask? Why think when the algorithm already knows? And the strangest thing? When AI can't answer, we get irritated. In 2024, Berlin researchers gave people problems not in AI databases. Most reacted with frustration, not curiosity. It was like their brains, no longer used to effort, saw thinking as an error. Now imagine this continues for 10 more years. What will remain of our thinking, if even now, faced with something as basic as spell checking without the internet? Many feel mild panic. But maybe we're being too dramatic. Maybe this isn't a fall, but an evolution. Maybe the brain is shedding routine to pursue what matters. And maybe soon, AI will know you better than you know yourself. You won't even finish your question. It will already have the answer. No search, no request, just anticipation. AI no longer just reads your actions. It learns how you think, how long you hesitate, what time of day you ask complex questions, how your eyes move across the screen before typing. This is no longer just a tool. It's a mirror, not of who you are, but who you might become, based on the patterns of millions. At Tufts University, neuroscientists recorded something strange. People using predictive AI over long periods showed reduced activity in Brodmann's area, the region tied to independent decision-making. The more the algorithm guessed correctly, the less they wanted to think. Why spend energy when the system hands you the answer? But again, there's a counterpoint. In California, a group of enthusiasts ran a radical experiment. They cut off all AI helpers for a month, using only calculators and notebooks. The first days were torture. Participants felt like amputees, like they'd lost part of their minds. But by week 3, something unexpected happened. The brain remembered. It remembered how to think without hints. It just needed time to reboot old neural pathways. People began to enjoy thinking again, not as a burden, but as a pleasure. One participant said, "It's like I'd walked on crutches for years, then suddenly remembered I had legs." When we talk about technology, we often forget to ask the deeper questions. We assume AI is just a tool, a helper for making decisions. But as AI becomes part of everyday life, one question looms larger. Who is responsible for the decisions AI helps us make? More importantly, what happens to our moral compass when choices aren't fully ours? In 2025, the World Health Organization released a report on AI in medicine. It focused on how algorithms could transform diagnosis and treatment. But the core question was this: who is liable when an algorithm misdiagnoses? What if a doctor trusts the machine and makes a mistake? The same concern applies everywhere. What if AI is used in the legal system, analyzing cases, predicting verdicts? What if it gets it wrong and someone loses their freedom? Who answers for that? In 2023, the UK passed a law regulating AI in law. It required algorithmic decisions to be transparent, reviewable, and most importantly, that responsibility rests with people. But here's the next challenge. The more we integrate AI into life, the more we rely on it, the less we think for ourselves. If we admit our decisions depend on tech, not us, are we still morally accountable? Do we risk surrendering ethical autonomy? One clear example: social media. AI chooses our content, but it can also shape our opinions, beliefs, even behaviors. Ethical concerns over AI and social platforms are growing louder. Algorithms can steer us toward ideologies, reshape our worldview, influence our choices. But the real question is not about the tech. It's about us. When we give algorithms this power, we lose control over how they guide us. So we must ask, whose side are we on? Convenience and speed, or responsibility and values? The paradox: the more we trust AI, the less we control our choices. Moral responsibility becomes blurred. We need a new balance between humans and machines. Because in the end, what matters more, the speed of an algorithm or our ability to reflect, to understand, and to choose with awareness? This is not just about safety. It's about the soul of ethics itself. We stand on the edge of a new era, one where responsibility is shared between man and machine, and it's up to us to define that balance. so we don't lose our humanity in a world where technology becomes a partner, not just a tool.